Hi there. I have been an online notary since September 2018, and one of the most important things for an online notary to stay on top of, well as a traditional notary, is to keep very good records. It's critical that we don't get behind on that. I make sure to take care of my records by I've developed a system to help me get organized right up front. See, I knew if I didn't have a structure that what would happen is I would get overwhelmed. I would get stuff piled up in my virtual filing basket, and things would get away from me. So I developed that system so that I have an exact thing I do from start to finish every time. And I may get behind 1 or 2 days on getting my videos filed and duplicated across my 3 methods of storage, but mostly I do pretty good staying on top of it, which is not like me because I'm the world's worst procrastinator. So I feel pretty good about setting up this structure. And eventually I will make a video of all of the components of my organization system for getting things done as an online notary, to make sure that my records are taken care of. But I'm not going to just like do a big reveal or until I've covered every component. So that's what we're starting with. We're going to start out with my journal and how I keep it. Now, my online platform, for my online platform, I've chosen Signix. That's Signix, which has a wonderful journaling process built right in to the platform. And it has an even better audit trail, which I feel keeps us safe. The only problem is that I feel like there's no way to get all the information that I know I want to capture during an online notarization about the transaction. So even if the Signix platform or any platform could capture that for me, had enough room to capture all that information in it, I would still want to do as much of it as possible ahead of time, and that's what I do. But because if you're new to online notarization and doing real estate packages, you'll know that it's not as easy as a traditional signing appointment where you take your documents in and you've got some blanks to fill out. However, I solved the problem that I felt like I had of not being able to get everything into my Signix journal by creating a 4-page journal entry that I upload to the platform and actually have the signers sign during the meeting. On my blog, where you'll find this posted, you'll be able to look at the pages as we go along, and I've said in my notes over to the side, which you can see if you're watching this video, that you should take a moment and download those items. But it's not necessary because they're right there on my blog. There's 4 images, and they're in the correct order, 1 through 4. It should be pretty easy for you to access and look at. So I'm going to push on to the next part of this presentation, which is the journal itself. And here I've got the 4 pages listed. Let me do a little housekeeping and close this up so that it's not in our way, so we can have as much room as we need. Okay. In page 1, I'm going to open up an illustration here so that you can see it. It's not an illustration, it's an image, pardon me. This is page 1. And what happens here is I input the date and where I am when the transaction is happening. I also select online. It's a radio button because I actually do use this now as a journal entry form when I'm doing traditional signings, and we can debate whether or not that's okay or not, but I'm not going to because it is an electronic journal, and you do what you need to do. But anyway, these pages are in addition to the online notary journal when I'm using it as an online notary. So already in the heading up here, like I said, we've got the date, we've got the online, we've got my phone number and name. We've also got a place where I can fill this in every time. Sometimes I'm at my son's house keeping the children, and while they're in school, I can still perform online notarization. And the reason that my contact information is there is that because when I upload this to the Signix platform, my signers are able to, they sign it, as you'll see, and they also are able to download it after the documents are all signed. They are entitled to one. So they always know how to get a hold of me. But if they download the documents, they'll have this. And I tell them, you know, once you've gone through the ID process with me, you can be a repeat customer and not have to go through KBA and CA again. So as you can see, for each signer, I have 4 signers here. And if we have more than that, there's ample room in the notes section to add additional signers. It's very easy to see what I've got intended here. The name of the first signer is on line 1. You'll notice that there's no choices on line 1, on signer 1, like there are for some of the others. I've made it a little bit even bigger. So the point is that when you have one signer, they're always going to be the principal or the principal signer. Do I know them by personal knowledge, KBA, or ID, and CA? And CA means credential analysis. So, or do I know them because I've got a credible witness? Okay, so if I have a credible witness, there's a good chance that the next person on my journal is going to be, the signer number 2 will be the credible witness, because I handle that all in one transaction. And that's not what we're talking about right now, credible witness. But I'm just saying that my journal allows for me to check a box for signers 1 through 1 as principal, and then 2 through 4 could be something else. That could be a credible witness, a witness, or a principal as well. So now we're going to move to page 2 of the journal and take a look at it and what it looks like. So the top section is where I put in information related to real estate transactions, which I do a lot of, and I'm going to cover that more in detail shortly. The second or the middle section of my journal is about the documents and having them listed. I check this box if I run out of room up here, and then we'll go to page 3 or 4. So the bottom part is about the signers. In this area, it actually picks up from the first page the name of the signers. It doesn't matter what their capacity is, whether principal, credible witness, or witness on this page. I collect their address because it's required of me. And if I want to get their email or phone number for future reference, I can put that there too if I want to. So that is page 2. So let's move on over to page 3. Page 3 gives me a lot of free form writing area. And so on page 3, I start out by typing in my hiring party. If there is not a hiring party, I note that in this section. For instance, sometimes we have hiring parties and sometimes we have citizens, just a regular everyday person who calls you and needs to hop on and get something notarized. I like to keep up with the title company, and so that goes in the next box. There's seldom a lender, but if there is, I will just note it there. And down here in the fee info, we're going to talk about, I don't want us to get bogged down on this part, so we're going to talk about that towards the end of the video. And then here are as a nice notes section, that we could use if we ran into a situation that we just wanted to document, or if we felt like that we needed to, if we had more documents to list. Okay, so that takes care of number 3. And number 4, finally we are here. Goodness, that's really too big. So let me put that down just a little bit and lose it. There it is. Okay, so page 4 just looks like a lot of writing space. That's it. All right, so I'm going to close that up now, and we're going to talk about how I actually use this journal. Now that you know what's in it, why do I have all that information there, and what do I do with it? Because I didn't go over some of it that I think I should mention. So page 1 is about the signers. We've already covered that pretty, fairly clearly. We don't need to belabor the point there. So I'm going to close that back up. Page 2 and 3. Let's see. We've got the top section, which is related to real estate. Now, as I think I mentioned, I do a lot of buyer and seller transactions. So this is where I collect the property address, the grantee name and address, and the grantor name and address. Grantees are buyers and grantors are sellers. So Texas law requires some of this. Texas law also requires a description of the document. Well, sometimes documents look alike, but it's these little details that really tells the story and identifies one transaction from another in your journal. In the meantime, don't assume that if you're not in Texas, well, even if you are in Texas, we're not required to collect everything that I'm telling you about here, but if you'll come up with some ideas about what would help you, what you're going to want to put in the notes section of your journal and so forth. But to me, this is very helpful because we do need to know the property address and the previous grantor, the grantor, and the grantee. Well, it doesn't state, I don't think it states precisely we've got to have the grantee, but anyway, I do it. Now, why would I do that? Because I do multiple transactions for people, and once you get your book of business started, you're going to run into the same guys all the time, or ladies, who are selling property or buying in a cash situation. So it's helpful because, for instance, I have one fella that I did a cash transaction for yesterday morning at 8 a.m. He was in Jordan, in the Middle East. I'm here in Texas. It was 8 a.m. for me. It was 4 p.m. for him, and he was very relaxed. He leaned back, had his head on a pillow, and the reason he was relaxed with me is because we've done this before. So anyway, he went through it, and the documents looked almost exactly like the documents that I had done the last time for him, but I was clear in my journal record right here that this was about this address and here's who was buying it. So it just helps to identify the transaction. So let me close that little bit up and open this one. Okay, so in this one, obviously, I'm going to check AC or JURAT, or write in verification if that's what it is, because we do have a third common certificate, and it's verification. So in the third box, I actually put in who signs this document. So if it's, I think I said, like, you may have 4. Sometimes my partner Jake has like 6 or 8 signers, and I can't even imagine. I've never done that many. But he put, in that case, I would put all signers signed, a certain document. And I would, in the part where it says title, I would also describe whether, if they all used one certificate, or if it was separate, or how that went. Frequently, married couples have one certificate with both of their names in it, but it's just as likely in the same packet that I'll have a document that has split up, where the drafter has split up the certificates. So that's, this is where I put all that in there. And I know that may sound like overkill to some, but it helps me to keep my records straight as far as how much would be allowed for, if I was doing this for just a citizen and not a hiring party. I just think it's helpful to know that. So anyway, and then again, got my check box so that if you're looking at this, there's more documents, go to page 3 or 4. Just keep turning pages. So, let me get my notes back up. Okay, so here we have the place where they're going to sign my journal. And we've already looked at it. It's very self-explanatory. I draw the text box here for the address. If I want to put in, want them to put in their phone number for some reason, or I just want to go ahead and insert it because I've been in contact with them quite a bit, I can put it right there. And like one of my favorite clients is a doctor that lives in the next county over, but he goes to India quite a bit, and I love him to pieces, and I like to know, okay, he's going to be back in the country, so a certain time, so I might want to just send a thank you note once he's back or whatever. So anyway, that's what this can, you can do whatever you want to in your journal, but as long as you get the right information and don't collect information that is not acceptable by law. So finally, we're getting close to the end, and I want to talk a minute about how I list fees. All right, just let me open this up. All right. Oh, well, I lost my notes. Okay, so there are my notes. When I'm working for individuals, and I know that we are, in Texas anyway, we're set to we can only charge for one certificate online notarization a total of $31 if there's just one signer. If there's 2 signers, we can charge $32. So if it's an individual, I click the button here, and this would be on page 3 of the journal. We've already talked about it. I'm not going to go back. You can look in the blog. There's representative images of each page. But anyway, I would click the individual here, and then I would itemize in this box exactly what I charged him or her for. So while I was doing this yesterday, I got a call from a client of a lawyer who refers me a lot of business and who also says just bill me and take care of my client. And so whatever the case, I give them, their direct people referred to me. I give them a little bit of a discount because they are so good, but not a huge one. But so like $31 for I would put in this particular instance. I would put in, I needed to do 2. One was an affidavit and one was a deed. So I put in $31 for the first notarial act, $20 for the second notarial act equals $51. And so that's how I document that. So that's how I deal with individuals, as just always identify exactly what I'm charging them for. And we're supposed to do that by law. And then we need to send them a receipt that states that, or, and we also need to sign it, but that's another topic. This is just how I document in my journal how I charge for the work. So when I work for hiring parties, I do it a little differently. And that's because and here I mentioned about the repeat business for attorneys, but when we're working for a hiring party, I don't disclose my fees in my journal. And the reason I don't put it down like $100 or however. And the reason I don't is because, I have a couple of clients that know that what their client will pay is not what I deserve to be paid. So they're going to pay me a little more, and that's nobody's business but mine and my clients. So, but I still want it in the journal, and the way that I handle that is I put a little code in there. I put NA, I click the circle for hiring party, and then I type in here NA. So it's not about, itemizing for a citizen. And then depending on what it is, I use a 10-letter word where no letters are repeated, and I just put in, if I am getting $125, then it's HOE, I just put that in there. Nobody needs to know what HYY or HOE or HEY means. It's strictly for my bookkeeping purposes, and so that I'm straight anytime somebody wants to know what I charged or what my anticipated charge is, because sometimes hiring parties will give you a little bit more than, like I said, than maybe they are getting paid to hire you or to, just as a tip. So I hope that makes sense. So why would I not charge a hiring party by the exact amount that I can charge? And it's just like with traditional notary work, I figured out this one little scenario where this happens a lot on a seller package or a buyer package, that you might run into 5, 8, even 11 notarizations. In that case, you can ask the title company to pay you $248 for 8 notarizations, but how often do you think they're going to call you to do that if that's what you're going to charge them? I know there are a lot of claims that direct work pays that much, but I can tell you that in Texas, direct work doesn't pay that much for online notarization. We are having better luck getting a little bit better fees, just because as time moves forward, title companies and hiring parties are understanding that it takes a lot of work off of them, and it's a little, there is more involved than just click, click, click. Okay, so that I'm getting off topic here, but anyway, in this case, it's I have in my page 2 how many notarial acts I did, and then it's that if they're 8, one person, I'm not going to charge the title company $248 to do a seller's package. I'm not going to tell you how much I do charge. $100 is there just for the purpose of showing you that I would just enter a flat rate of HYY, and it would go in this box right here, NA, for it was a hiring party, and then HYY for $100. And I hope that helps. I learned this little system of secretly recording costs and such as that from working in a pharmacy, because when I was in high school, and that was my part-time, and then my later for a short time a full-time job, I actually coded. We used a different set of 10 letters, and we coded everything that came in to make sure we knew what we had paid for it, and so we didn't give discounts where someone might ask for one. We didn't go under the wholesale price that the pharmacist had paid. Anyway, that's really about it. Let me see if I missed anything. The only other thing to tell you is who I am, and you probably know, or you wouldn't have dropped in and on a 25-minute video to see something about my online notary journal. I'm Brenda Stone. My partner is Jake Burkhalter. We've been notaries for about 20 years. We've been performing online notarization. Did I say 20 years? I've really been one closer to 30 years. Jake's a little younger than me, but he's got quite a few, he's a lot younger than me, but he's got quite a few years of notary work in. Both of us have several years of loan document and real estate documentation experience, and we train notaries on basic fundamentals of signing agent work, and as commercial, we do commercial loan training. Anyhow, I have a couple of links in my blog, and that's one way that I financially support my writing, because bloggers don't make $1 million no matter what anybody thinks. But if you're interested in getting on board with the Sinex platform, you can read a lot about that on my blog. And let's see, you can find more content there. You can also find more content there. As soon as I click the right button. Notaries and notarynews.com. If you look around a little bit, just like in the previous 4 articles, I've got Sinex articles there. If you think you're going to become part of the Sinex team, or they're not really a team as much, they're just a good platform, but it's a bring your own customer platform. So we're all independent. But if you think you want to hop on to that platform, then please use my link, and it will pay me a percentage of, I think like $25 or $35 if you use it. But I have been one of their members for going on 2 years. No, let's see. The first year I was with a different platform because Sinex wasn't accepting notaries, so I think it's been like almost 2 years now. Anyhow, and keep an eye on this website, notarystart.com, because that's where our training site will be up. If you want to take the commercial loan course, the commercial loan documentation and commercial real estate course, please send me an email to brenda@stonedigital.me. And like I said, we have the NSA fundamentals and a commercial package. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful. And if you have questions, please post them in the comments on my blog or right here on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.